I'm sorry for my voice. It's not just emotion, it's also a cold I got in recent days. But thank you so much for the two nice words. But before I go further on that, I would perhaps like to welcome you all wholeheartedly to this annual cocktail. And I suppose that some of you are a little bit distracted these weeks. Indeed, there is a very important event going on at this very moment. And that event is not taking place here. But I'm not talking about football game. No, I'm talking about the meeting tonight of the EU heads of state and government in Ypres, or Ypres in Flemish, a town, by the way, I grew up and passed 14 years of my young life. But we really are interested to know who finally will be the successor of José Manuel Barroso as President of the European Commission. It's important for all of us, not just the banks, but for the entire economy and all the people who live in Europe, to have a leadership that is able to act and take measures that will get the European economy going again, creating growth and jobs. And for those of you who were thinking I was making a reference to the football game between Germany and the United States, the score is 1.
For Germany.
Well, 5 seconds ago it was still 0-0, but her husband is German, so that's why she's so enthusiastic. So, and Portugal-Ghana was still 1-0 for Portugal. Jens, that's confirmed? Okay. But let's say that should not keep us from enjoying ourselves here. And our annual summer party, as Jan-Nora said, has developed into somewhat a tradition here in Brussels. It's our way of expressing our sincere thanks to all of you. We want to express our appreciation for the time you have spent listening to us and to our concerns all these difficult recent years, whether you are at the Commission, the Parliament, or one of the Member States, or at one of the many other organizations that we work with. Those of you who know me well are aware that I'm not much of a football fan or buff, although I must admit to be really thrilled to see our own Belgian Red Devils, that they have made it to the next round of the World Cup. But for me, sailing is more my thing. And when you talk about the banking sector in recent years, it's easy to imagine the symbolism of a ship in stormy waters, or in the case of our sector, many ships in several different and severe storms. It's clear that we as a banking sector are still facing a challenging time. Waters are choppy at best, and our radar screens still show potential challenges on the horizon. The prospect of structural reform of the banking sector and plans for a financial transaction tax, these are like cliffs that we need to navigate around carefully. But things are also looking up. Better safety rules are being put in place, resulting in better, safer ships. The authorities are running unprecedented safety checks or stress tests, and the results of which we expect in October. It's clear that the ships in our sector are already more solid than they were back in 2008. And if we were to face again a storm, such as in 2008, we would be able to make it through. But no storm is the same. Another new storm may come from a direction that may be difficult to anticipate at this moment, and we need to be prepared also for that one. Now, when you are looking at what's happening in our sector, there are also some relevant analogies, not just with sailing, but also with football. Just take a look at some of the innovations that are being introduced at the World Cup. The game is becoming more honest, now that referees have access to goal line technology. They also use this vanishing spray for the wide lines that make players keep their distance during a free kick. So one could say these are new supervisory rules designed to create a level playing field. Also in the banking sector, we are seeing new supervisory rules with more level playing field, particularly in the Eurozone. And as you know, we warmly embraced the banking union. A single rule book, a single European supervisor as opposed to different national ones. Banking union is a historic development that creates a new landscape for our sector. We will see the emergence of true Eurozone banks, banks that can compete internationally on a new type of playing field which will be bigger, more transparent, with the same rules. All this will finally enable banks to start focusing again at what they are here for: funding economies, funding households, companies, enabling them to grow and to create jobs. It's also a basis for winning back trust and confidence. For me, this is the last EBF summer party, as you now know, if you should not know it yet. In my role as Chief Executive of the Federation, I hope I will still be invited afterwards. But I would like to thank you all for the excellent cooperation during these almost 10 years that I was at the helm of the EBF. So colleagues of the other trade associations, policymakers, legislators and regulators, we are all together here in Brussels, framing together, day after day, the European Union. And so I consider that I was a lucky man to be able to add my small stone to build our fantastic European house. May you live in interesting times is a saying in the English language that is often referred to as a Chinese curse. What few know is that the authenticity of this saying is in doubt. The nearest real Chinese expression which conveys a similar message says that it's better to live as a dog in an era of peace than as a man in times of trouble. Now, personally, I don't agree with this. Living in interesting times, times of great change, is a blessing, a privilege, not a curse. I believe that crises are opportunities. Un mal est un bien. We went through the worst financial crisis in Europe since 1930 and suffered from a harsh economic downturn in the EU, followed by a severe sovereign crisis in the Eurozone. But look at what came out of this. A much stronger monetary and economic union and a banking union. Something people of my generation never expected to witness during their professional life. So I will leave the EBF with a feeling of genuine and deep satisfaction. The more so because I can leave it in the good hands of a very capable and experienced successor, Wim Mijs. Wim is for a number of years Managing Director of the Dutch Banking Association. Before that, he was Head of Government Affairs for ABN AMRO. Quite some time he spent in Brussels as head of the ABN AMRO EU Liaison Office. And so I'm sure that many of you know him already, because although he stayed recent years in the Netherlands, he remained always very much focused on what happened in Brussels. Not the least as chairman of the EBF's Executive Committee in 2012 and 2013. He was the predecessor of Pianora, and as chairman of the board of Euribor EBF. Besides the fact that we have a lot of values in common, I firmly believe that Wim is not only the right man in the right place, but also the right man at the right time. Now that the regulatory reform came more or less to an end, indeed, the overarching objective and challenge for the EBF for the coming years will certainly be restoring trust in the banking sector and promoting its role in the economy and society at large. And I'm sure that Wim's excellent communication skills will contribute to the achievement of this important objective, and I wish him every success in this fantastic job. So, knowing him, I'm sure that he would like to say some words as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, then it's up to me to say a few short words, because luckily the content is still up to Guido, and I just have to say some personal things. When I discussed applying for this job, I will only tell you one thing, that one of the things that I discussed with my wife is at Christmas this year is, should I apply? And she said, yes. And I didn't understand that. Then I told my chairman that I wanted to apply, and he said, yes. And I told a few bankers that I would apply, and then one of them made the final remark that I hadn't understood. And they all said, Wim, Brussels has never left your soul. You've always there, even though you were in the Netherlands. So of course you should apply. And it is with great honor that I start this new job in a new phase, and I look immensely forward to it. But you will get to meet me, if you haven't met me, in my previous job in Brussels after 1st of September. Now I would like to conclude with a few words to Guido. Because indeed we've worked together, and Guido is a fantastic diplomat. The amount of appreciation that he got throughout, well, through everywhere, was quite impressive, and he is also a fantastically nice man that I enjoyed working with. So I wanted to buy him a book. And at this time, what book can you buy somebody? So I went to a bookshop and asked them, do you have Piketty, Capital in the 21st Century? And the bookshop owner was very honest, and he said, yes, yes, I sold millions of copies, everybody has it, and nobody of my clients has ever read it. So I thought, maybe not. And I said, do you have books about Europe? And they said, yes, many books about Europe. Federalist books about Europe, less Europe, more Europe, no Europe, all these positive things that you hear. And then I saw one which I liked. Because this one is about the myth of Europe. And it is about Dracula. It is about Baron of Munchausen. And this is a new view on Europe, which I think Guido does not have, and I would like to present to him. It is all the heroes of European literature throughout the member states, and some writer has looked at the real persons behind Dracula, behind Baron of Munchausen, behind many more. And what I would like to convey with this gift to the European leaders is Europe is not a myth, it's real. Thank you.